It's 3 a.m. in the middle of the night, my beautiful insomnia, and I want to perhaps try to help you with my tips. So, my insomnia have been going for a very long time, over 10 years, and it's not just insomnia, not being able to sleep, but also my sleep quality. It's about just like, let's not better describe it, terrible. So, want to say several things, a few tips that possibly may help you fall asleep, but mainly this video is for how to live long term with very poor sleep quality and insomnia as well, and sleeping hours to give you perhaps some sort of optimism and courage. I want to first point out that I'm not addressing the issue with having to go in the morning at work or school or any other tasks. So, if you are looking for help for that, I cannot help you with any ideas. So, first off, I just want to say that in the long term, if you have the right mind approach about this, but also just doing the right things when it happens, you can live with this thing with insomnia. My insomnia, it's every single night, and again the sleep quality is just abysmal because of a medical condition which I explain in my channel. Yes, I was saying that in the long term it's actually possible to live with this if you have the right mindset. I can tell you that I had nights when I did could not sleep or did awake or something like this, and I was really in some, can describe it as pain, psychological pain, and also did have moments which I do describe as mental collapse, precisely just like a car crash. Terrible moments, but I think it's fairly easy to overcome those things. The first and most important part is to just accept the new reality. Maybe it doesn't sound easy for some or many of you. Accept your life is absolutely no longer be like others' life or before, if you had an event that caused this insomnia, such my medical condition, which has happened about 15 years ago. So your life is no longer going to be the same. I think you need to accept this thing. Not accept as a punishment, but just understand that maybe I give you a comparison which is not really happy. Someone has a car crash, is losing one leg, and is living that way from that point on, and that's it. Just imagine you were born like this somehow. So, this is just the psychological part of it. The second part is really to try to observe how it's how it's working, this insomnia, and there are two outcomes there. You have something that's regular, the same pattern every night or most nights, or something that it's irregular. I can tell you that my insomnia for a while has entered some sort of regular pattern. I knew I would go to sleep at this hour, I would wake up at that hour, I would stay awake this many hours, and I would go back to sleep again at around this time. And I was so happy with this. And then all of a sudden it went away, completely away. I could no longer have the same pattern. So at this point, I would say that I know in the future, depends perhaps on the season or so, or other situations, I'm just not going to have the same nights every time. So it's again a matter of accepting this thing, and when it happens, just try to get into a routine. Obviously, you've seen already videos on YouTube and every other places. Don't force yourself to sleep. Just try to feel and understand and just be realistic. You see, you feel the moment when you perhaps lay in bed and you should be honest with yourself and just say, okay, now it's gone, the sleep is not coming back. Just step up. There are people who say don't spend time in your bedroom. Well, it depends. Maybe you have a large home, maybe you can stay someplace else. I'm not really sharing that idea. Actually, I'm not saying that staying in your bedroom it's a bad thing. It may be for some people. Realize that people do react very different to different things. It's not all for everyone the same. So just spend time. Depends on you as well. I'm not saying go and play soccer at night or some places. I'm not sure if it's that possible, but just do something just like a regular day when you have insomnia, and try to kind of just do normal things at that point. I think it's better not to take a big meal or something like cakes or something like this, because if you want to go back to sleep sometimes later, big food or big sugar things or coffee or whatnot, chocolate does not going to help you. So just maybe describe what I do when I wake up. It depends on the night. It's really how I feel. Sometimes I go and take a walk outside, unless you live in a rough neighborhood. Um, um, I may just go on internet and do my work, upload videos. I have a channel, edit videos, or maybe watch something else on internet. Oftentimes, I will just have a computer by my side, a laptop, and just listen to. Um, give you an idea. You have night radios or something like this, or just YouTube channels that with live TVs, and could be also from other sides of the planet, other countries which have where you are in the middle of nighttime, those other countries are in daytime. So just give you an idea. Generally speaking, I try not to watch screens at night. Um, you perhaps already know about what's the blue light on screens that shifting your sleeping hours. And this, I have to point out, perhaps I'm going to tell you now a few reasons that I know, but usually I'm going to put more reasons for not sleeping in the comment section. Just be aware, some people are very sensitive to any kind of screen, even if you lower the light, screen backlight, even if you use one of those um, night view or night something like this that kind of makes the screen color be reddish or something like this. It may still affect some persons, while other persons are absolutely not affected by sleep, by screen light, even if it's a strong bright white light. Their sleep is not affected at all. So again, it differs from person. But at nighttime, I would rather not watch screens, which I'm doing here when I'm filming now. One of the things I suggest, it depends on your mindset and on your tiredness and exhaustion and maybe frustration or even pain, because insomnia does is painful at least at times. But again, it depends on your mindset. You can arrive, I think, at a point where it's no longer that painful, or maybe not even painful at all. Is let me just say something and then I'll explain my trick. I just want to point out that in the long term, the body and the mind as well, obviously, insomnia, it's affecting both your mind, brain, if you want, and your physical body. The body and the mind do adapt to your new lifestyle. Let's call it this way, lifestyle, your new way of living. It takes time, it takes years, depends on each person, I guess, several years may take. But I can tell you that at this point in life, after my sleep have been affected for 15 years, of which about 10 years have been terrible and really horrible, many, many nights, most of the nights in some periods actually. I can tell you that I do. It's quite difficult. It's really subjective, but I do guess. Let's estimate, if you want, that my sleep at each night would be equivalent to no more than around 2, 3, 4 hours of normal sleep. The sleep that I had before that medical condition. So it's really a um, very low, I don't know, very low, not just quality, but amount of real sleep for me. And still, I'm doing fairly well during daytime. I don't really have problems normally with falling asleep or something like this, or driving. So the body does adapt to this, and you will be perhaps surprised to find out that you can live pretty fine without a lot of sleep, actually. Now, again, this does not necessarily address the matter of having to wake up maybe at 6 or 7 a.m. to go to work or school, or just bring the kids to daycare or something like this. Does that I'm not saying that you are going to have a fun or easy time doing that thing, but as just overall, it's possible to live with much less rest and sleep than the other persons. That's one thing here. I was saying about tricks, small tricks. One thing is, if you are awake and you feel really like you need to sleep, really tired, but you cannot sleep, obviously you cannot fall asleep. One thing you may want to try is just lay down your bed. I recommend not turning completely off the lights. If you have a light dim switch, or maybe try to mount a dim switch, dim your lights, and maybe you need to purchase light bulbs that are dimmable. And by the way, good thing I'm talking about light bulbs. Be careful, because most of bulbs today are LED, even if they look like a regular old bulb. LED light, you need to look at the K factor. Oftentimes I get confused which one is what, but the K factor on LED lights ranges from cold light to cold white to warm white, and you definitely want to install in your home warmest bulb lights that you can find, LEDs ones. Don't put in your home cold white ones. I think, if I remember well, just correct me, check on Google perhaps, the higher the K number, the warmer the light is, and the easier is on people who are sensitive to cold white light. So LED bulb is actually going to act just like a screen for the people who are sensitive to this. If your LED lights is kind of looks like really white, then this may also affect, even if you are using them just in the evening, they may affect your sleep. So be careful with this, and your children as well. If you can, just go back to the old bulbs, if it's not too expensive, the electricity in your area. So again, try to find a bulb used in your home that I think it's around, the good ones start at around 3,500 K or so, up or higher than this. So I was saying that, yes, one trick is to perhaps don't turn off the lights completely. I have dimmer in my room here. I would dim the lights very low, but it still has a little bit of light in my room. You may also use something smaller, like a headlamp, something like this. And I would just lay down in bed just like I was going to sleep, precisely exactly the same, close my eye, and tell to myself, I'm going to lay like this in bed for 30 minutes or maybe 1 hour. I would say 1 hour the most, and just pretend I sleep. eyes closed, I'm going to think to whatever I want, anything you want, even stressful things, it doesn't matter. Anything you are, just let your brain, let your mind, let your imagination. I think most people do have this kind of, you can imagine with your mind visually, right? Images, basically. Just let your mind run and tell to yourself, I am sitting like I'm sleeping. You know you are not sleeping and you know you are not going to get a sleep, but just think by yourself, it's just like I'm sleeping. And give yourself, I would say, at least 30 minutes, at most 1 hour. After 1 hour, don't force yourself in any way. You may risk to start being frustrated. So just say, okay, 1 hour, I did sleep for 1 hour. Of course, you didn't, but it's like a rest. It's like a mental rest, actually. At least that's how it goes for me. And 1 hour later, I just step up and do some other things. And I'm really, really happy with this. And that hour or 30 minutes, it does help me rest. Somehow. It's strange, but it does. And again, a mind rest, not a body rest, obviously. Let me see what I have here. I did wrote down my ideas. Oh, hold on a second, it's not long. Yeah, one, okay, there is one thing that I do, but this also, I do it only when I know I have a chance to fall asleep. So when I know I cannot fall asleep, I don't try this. Well, actually, you can try it, but it's not going to work, obviously. So basically, at least for me, when I lay in bed, just close my eyes, by the state of my mind, I know, usually I would know I'm going to fall asleep or not. So the fall asleep, there is kind of a fall asleep state. It's tricky a little bit and it can go away very, very easily if you hear some noise or if you start thinking of something, it can go away very easily. But try to figure out to kind of um, detect, if you want, I don't know how to say it otherwise, identify this going to sleep condition. It's really, it's something in your mind, a way of, the way I start to describe, it's not something that you think of, it's really like a feeling in your mind, if you want. When you feel that, that gives you, I mean, that gives you a hint that you are going to fall asleep. One of the things that I would do at that point, it's weird, I guess I'm going to find this funny. I imagine myself, and again, this is the visual motion, right? So I think most people can do it. I imagine myself, there are several scenarios if you want, you can choose your own. I ride down a hill on a bicycle. It's a mild steep hill, so it's not very steep but not very flat either. And I just kind of ride my bicycle just straight down like a green hill or something like this in a line, and just kind of feel I'm losing control. Losing control in a way, it's just kind of like a roller coaster, not necessarily fast, just like riding down a roller coaster, if you want. And it's an image that I just try to mm, put in my mind, if you want, for could be several minutes, right? So not 2 seconds or so. And it's just kind of losing control or something. And you can try the same way with anything else you may prefer. Sometimes I imagine myself um, not inside a train, but kind of sitting on a train, and the train brings me somewhere. And usually, for whatever weird reason, this is going to be a steam engine train, whatever. Pick your own flavor, right? So it's kind of not necessarily forcing yourself to feel like you lose control, but it's just something that brings you somewhere, right? Something else that brings you somewhere. And this, when I have that state of mind that I'm going to fall asleep, this most of the times works. Um, Again, I was talking about that state of mind. That's like a little bird that sits on your shoulder, like a wild bird that sits on your shoulder, and it can fly away for whatever reason. It's very, very delicate, so to speak, fragile. That state of mind of I'm going to get asleep. It's weird, and unfortunately, I think many people would just have perhaps feel anxiety or stress or have stressful thoughts. You start thinking about this or that issue. This is kind of annoying when it happens, and you know at that point, basically, you've lost your sleep. That's for sure, almost. Uh, One thing that you may try is to really say, this, at least to me, these thoughts, stressful thoughts about this or that matter, usually come to me, and I kind of feel like it's someone coming by my bed and starts talking with me. Not, I don't hear people or something like this. It's just like it's so annoying, those thoughts, that, and you don't want them, right? And they come into your mind anyway. Um, at least to me, it's most of the times not possible to get rid of them once they start. But one thing that you may try to do is just think, hey, it's middle of the night or 10 p.m. or whatever time it is. Don't bother me now. This is daily. Uh, this is broad day matter, day matter, not night matter, right? So I'm going to check this in the morning or in the day, not in the night. So try to get this idea. Perhaps it's going to work, but most of the times, oftentimes it doesn't work for me. But maybe for you, it's going to be helpful. So yes, maybe ending this video. So I was saying that this is one of the reasons that you don't fall asleep. Stressful thoughts, those stressful matters of life. Another reason is going to be anxiety. Anxiety could be depression or something else. From anxiety could be for so many reasons, personal reasons, um, environment reasons, and so on. And my I don't want to call this suggestion, just to say it. Maybe look inside yourself as well. Maybe you, um, maybe it's someone else who's causing this anxiety to you. This is oftentimes the case, but sometimes it's also ourselves. We are not really at peace with ourselves or so. If you are stressed, if you are unwell with yourself, actually, this is perhaps not going to help. Again, this does not apply to all people, but some people, I guess. So just try to kind of come to peace with yourself. It's if it's possible, right? Um, so yes, this would be just another idea, and keep in mind. And just finishing this again. Watch your kids. Watch your kids if you have kids, obviously. uh, with their screens, phones, whatever they use. Um, my usually do is when it starts getting dark outside, I close all screens, TV or whatever anything else. It's difficult for many people because we live pretty much, many of us, at least in the, perhaps not just in the big cities, but many people, young people especially, I think they live kind of isolated by themselves, and evening time, I guess, is difficult. It's boring. It's annoying to. You don't know what to do or something like this. How to spend your time. So it's difficult. But if you know, maybe test a couple of days without screens after darkness. If you want, even in daytime, I would say no screens after 6 p.m. If you go to bed at 10 p.m., let's say 10, 11, no screens after 6 p.m. or 5 p.m. If possible. Just test a few days or a week like this and see if it makes a difference for you. And again, be careful with your children because they absolutely are not aware of this issue with screen before. in the evening before bedtime. They are not aware. They are not mm, adults. They don't have maturity to understand things. And you are adult. You are the one to help them basically. And also, I'm going to guess, kids these days, they definitely watch too much screens. And at some point, it becomes difficult or even impossible uh, to just make them detach them from screens, right? So better do a general approach early in their life, right? Don't let this happen. Don't let this become too late. And this approach should be also, in my opinion, during the day as well, right? So they know there is a limited time for screen, and that's it. The rest of the day, who knows? Maybe kick them to go outside and play if they still find children outside these days. In my childhood, well, there was no internet first, and the place I was living, there was no TV screens. I'm finishing the video with this. And we would play outside. Moms were starting calling us. It was a big block apartment. At the windows, parents would start calling us, "Come back, come home. You need to eat something and go to bed." And we wouldn't come home. Uh, Summertime, wintertime, it was just incredible and very good for your health too, right? You are moving, you are socializing, it's completely different than staying in front of screen like these days too. Not to mention those apps that are really, I don't know, I don't want to look like I'm blaming people. I just want to say that things that kind of shocked me. I was taking the metro one day, and watching someone with a phone, and who knows what kind of app he was looking, but he was swiping the screen. There were, I don't know, maybe TikTok or something like this, with kind of short clips or so, and swiping the screen maybe every 5 seconds or so. At first, I was just curious to watch this, and then after 5 minutes or so, I just, I just, I don't know how to say it. It was just, I don't know what to say precisely. I imagine that person spending hours like this every day, or maybe it was just in the metro, but I think there are many who are spending hours like this every day. It's just, I don't think it's human. I'm not saying they are not human, but it's just not right. It's weird to say the least. Okay, so all this to say that um, my wish for you is to be optimistic, adapt yourself. Just I like to say, dance with your insomnia, dance with your new life. Just dance with it. Don't box in it. Just really, just accept. And if you don't have duties in the morning, then it's possible to live like this and don't be distressed. And I just want to point out that my condition, it's obviously for the rest of my life. So there's no way back. So you see, I'm not saying it's easy. There are difficult moments of insomnia, but it's just a new life, basically, right? So be optimistic and um, pick up yourself if you want, and just do also imagine things, try to analyze things by yourself, make decisions with insomnia, how to spend the time, how to deal with it also as well, and just be optimistic. Okay, thanks for watching.